There is nothing accidental about the blessings you are about to receive. There is no force outside of you arbitrarily assigning wealth to one and withholding it from another. Life is not playing dice. You are not a beggar knocking at the door of abundance. You are the door. Massive wealth is tracking you not because you are striving, but because you are aligned. It is drawn to your inner consent. Not your effort, not your hustle, but your assumption. You have said yes within, and the whole of creation has responded to that agreement. You once believed you had to earn it, prove it, suffer for it, but now you know the truth. Reality is a servant to your dominant inner state. You no longer hope for wealth, you identify as the one who has it. That identification is the cause of the unfolding. Every thought you now think, from the end, from fulfillment, becomes a blueprint for the unseen forces to construct your reality. And they are swift. They do not dawdle. They respond the moment you assume the end and live from it. There is no delay unless you create one with doubt. There is no resistance unless you entertain it with fear. Wealth doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you believe is already yours. This is why you feel it drawing nearer. Not because you are striving for it, but because you have finally rested in it. You have ceased arguing with appearances. You no longer ask when or how. You simply are the one who already has, and because you are, life now must rearrange itself to reflect that fact. Wealth must track you. It must seek you out. Circumstances, connections, opportunities, and surprises will arise, not from your logic, but from your vibration. You are not chasing money. You are embodying wealth. When you sit in silence and feel the naturalness of wealth, you become magnetic. The state you dwell in impresses the field around you. That field then shapes itself to obey your inner decree. And it always does. Precisely, perfectly, faithfully. What you used to chase now chases you. You have reversed the order. You are not the effect, you are the cause. Your alignment is not a tool, it is your nature. Your inner world is not reacting, it is commanding. So do not ask, where is it? Ask instead, who am I now? And if the answer is, I am wealthy, then be still. That is the prayer, that is the command, that is the shift. The assumption is the engine, and your world is already catching up. Massive wealth is tracking you now. Not because you're lucky, not because the stars aligned, but because you did. Remain faithful to the end you have accepted. Persist in it gently, confidently, joyfully, and life will mirror it without fail. Your only task is to remain in the knowing. The evidence is already on its way. Thank you. There is a lie embedded deep within the world system that you must hustle, grind, and chase endlessly to finally earn your place among the wealthy. But truth exists on a higher plane. Wealth is not a destination you run toward, it is a condition of consciousness you accept as already yours. You do not attract abundance by pursuit. You become abundance by being. You are not the beggar, you are the author. You are not chasing wealth, it is chasing you, the real you, the one who finally decided to know rather than wish. To chase is to believe you lack, and the one who identifies as lacking, even if they labor tirelessly, continues to manifest more of that same condition, lack. Why? Because the outer world is deaf to what you say, it listens only to what you assume yourself to be. So long as your inner identity remains rooted in striving, pushing, and chasing, then wealth will remain on the horizon, a mirage you never quite touch. As far as you look for fruits, your neighbor's seed, where is it? And the mirage you never quite touch. But the moment you declare with quiet inner certainty, I am wealthy, I am the one who already has, a shift occurs. The universe doesn't argue, it reflects. This claiming within is not arrogance, it is not fantasy, it is the restoration of your divine authorship. When you accept wealth as your present reality, not your future hope, you activate the law of embodiment. You cease thinking of wealth and you begin to think from it. This is the key. To think of something is to place it outside yourself. To think from something is to move in the world as if it is already so. To feel the naturalness of it. To rest in the having. So you stop asking, how will I get rich? And instead begin assuming, I already am. You stop wondering, when will the money come? And start living as one for whom it has already arrived. You move through your day in that spirit. You dress, you speak, you walk, you make choices as the person who has. And because the world mirrors your inner atmosphere, life must shift to match the wealth you have claimed internally. It is not magic, it is law. And it is always responding not to your wishes, but to your assumptions. So today you abandon the chase. You no longer plead with the universe for scraps. You no longer wonder if you're worthy. You decide. You accept wealth as your identity. You welcome it not from the ego, but from the truth of who you are. The imaginer, the creator, the one who declares and sees it done. Wealth is not something you pursue. It is something you permit. And now that you've claimed it within, life has no choice but to echo your decree. You are no longer running after abundance. You are the one it's running toward. Long before anything appears in the outer world, it exists as a frequency within you, the inner state, that subtle but powerful realm of assumption, emotion, and identity is the true broadcaster of your reality. You may speak all the affirmations in the world, but it is your inner atmosphere that determines what answers. The truth is, life does not respond to what you say. It responds to what you are. And what you are is defined by your dominant inner state, the posture of your consciousness. Your state is like a signal tower. It emits an invisible broadcast that reaches beyond time, space, and logic. It pulls to you people, conditions, and outcomes that align with its message. If you live in the frequency of I already have, then life will conspire to confirm that knowing. But if you dwell in I hope, I wish, maybe one day, then life has no option but to reflect delayed doubt and separation. This is why two people can perform the same actions, say the same words, apply the same strategies, yet experience vastly different results. One may rise effortlessly, the other struggles without reward. Why? Because the state behind the action is not the same. One is saturated with the feeling of certainty, wealth, ease. The other, though trying hard, secretly carries the atmosphere of lack, fear, or unworthiness. You cannot fake a state. You cannot pretend for long. The universe reads your feeling tone, not your public persona. So the real work is never in frantic outer movement. It is in the quiet inner shift. You align with the version of you who already possesses what you desire. You feel what it would be like to be her, to be him. You live from that end. The inner state is not forced. It is selected, chosen, entered like a room. You sit still and you decide, this is who I am now. You don't chase the outcome, you assume the identity. And that identity emits a silent, potent signal that nothing can resist. Everything begins to reorient around your broadcast. You start noticing changes in people's responses. Doors open where there were once walls. Ideas flow effortlessly. Resources appear. But it is not coincidence, it is coherence. You and the life you once dreamed of are now on the same frequency. That's what alignment is. Not effort, not striving, but agreement between who you are inside and what you expect outside. So ask yourself, what am I broadcasting today? Not with my words, but with my state. And if it is not in harmony with what I desire, I must not push harder. I must shift inward. Because when the state changes, everything else must follow. Your state is the silent command. And when it is aligned, you no longer need to explain, prove, or hustle. Life already heard you, and it is on its way. There is no power greater than assumption. It is not merely a thought or a fleeting desire. It is the silent decree that reality obeys without question. What you assume to be true, whether consciously or unconsciously, becomes the blueprint from which your world is constructed. Creation is not driven by effort, it is driven by belief. Not belief in the religious sense, but belief as felt certainty. The deep knowing that something is already so, even if all outer evidence appears to say otherwise. This is the engine. This is the fire beneath all manifestation. You are not waiting for wealth to arrive. Wealth is waiting for you to assume it. The moment you accept it as your truth, not as a wish, not as a hope, but as a fact of your inner world, it becomes law. And law cannot be broken. What do you believe to be inevitable, that is what you will experience. If you assume wealth is far difficult, reserved for others, then no matter how hard you try, life will mirror that belief. But if you assume, even quietly, even in the privacy of your imagination, wealth is mine, it is natural, it is who I am, then your entire world must bend to reflect it. Do not look to the outer world for confirmation, look within. It is your inner decree that sets the wheels in motion. Assumption doesn't wait for proof, it creates it. First in imagination, then in form. That's the sacred process. You might say, but I don't see the money yet. And the answer is simple. You haven't fully assumed it yet. You are still checking the outer world, still measuring truth by appearances. But appearances are always late. They are echoes of your past assumptions. If you want a new reality, you must assume a new truth and persist in it gently but firmly until the world has no choice but to catch up. You don't force this. You don't beg. You assume. You become. Walk as one who already has. Think from the end, not of the end. Feel the relief, the freedom, the abundance. Now let the state of already wealthy saturate your being. Let it become your new normal. And watch as wealth begins to show up in unexpected ways. Not because you chased it, but because you aligned with it. It has no choice but to find you when you've declared it yours. This is the secret that changes everything. Your assumption is not a suggestion. It is a command, a law, a force, and it never returns void. So choose your assumptions wisely. Let them reflect your highest truth, not your current facts. Because what you assume, even in silence, becomes your world. And once you've assumed wealth within, life must honor the decree. Life is not reacting to what you want, it is reflecting what you are. This is the hidden truth most ignore while chasing outcomes, forcing success, and begging for change. You are not attracting with effort, you are creating through embodiment. The signal you send is not your wish, it is your identity. You are always being tracked by what you are. Like a shadow that never leaves, your state of being calls forth, matching experiences with uncanny precision. This is not punishment. It is perfect correspondence. Reality has no choice but to mirror the dominant tone of your inner self. When you embody lack, you find yourself surrounded by limitations. You hear no more than yes. You see delay. You encounter blocks. Not because you're cursed, but because you're being shown your inner atmosphere in physical form. But when you shift your identity, when you become the one who has, the one who is, the one who already dwells in abundance, life begins to echo that change. You are not a magnet in the usual sense, you are a projector. You are casting outward what you are inwardly saturated with. and the world, like a mirror, returns it faithfully, not with judgment, but with obedience. So the question is not, how do I get more money? The question is, who am I being? Because when you become wealth internally, when you carry the consciousness of already having, ease begins to surround you. Unexpected money arrives. People offer help. Opportunities surface. Synchronicity increases. Why? Because you are no longer separate from wealth in your identity. You are not hoping to be wealthy. You are not preparing to be wealthy. You are wealth. And now the outer must rearrange itself to reflect your new self-concept. Do not underestimate this principle. You do not attract what you desire. You attract what you embody. You don't chase love, health, or riches. You become the version of you who naturally experiences these things, and then, without strain, they appear. This is not positive thinking. It is a shift in identity. Stop measuring your progress by what's outside. Outer results are always trailing the state you previously lived in. Instead, anchor your focus in your being. Ask yourself daily, if I already had everything I wanted, how would I feel? How would I walk, speak, think, decide? Then do exactly that. Not to get something, but because that's now who you are. That version of you has always existed. You're not creating wealth from scratch. You're aligning with the frequency that already contains it. And once you embody that version fully, consistently, confidently, quietly, everything that matches it must come to you. The only delay between desire and manifestation is the illusion of time, an illusion born not from reality, but from your separation from the state you wish to occupy. You are not waiting on wealth. Wealth is not late. You are simply not yet fully identified with it. In the realm of true creation, there is no time. There is only consciousness. And the moment you occupy a state in consciousness, it is yours. Instantly, fully, completely. It is only when you look outside to the calendar, the clock, the bank account, that you begin to believe in delay. But all delay is self-created. All waiting is simply the byproduct of not yet accepting the state as yours. You may say, but I've done the affirmations. I've visualized, I've waited patiently, and yet nothing shifts. Why? Because your inner identification has remained unchanged. You still see yourself as becoming wealthy instead of being it. You still observe wealth as something to be achieved, not something to be embodied. Understand this. Manifestation is instant, in consciousness. The moment you accept a thing as true for you, truly, deeply, and without contradiction, it begins to form, regardless of what your senses say. The outer world is slow only because it reflects the echoes of past assumptions, but the inner world, the creative realm, is immediate. And it is from that inner world that all things emerge. This is why imagination is so powerful. It allows you to feel the end now, to bypass time completely. You can enter the experience of being wealthy, of being secure, of being free. And once you do, you've planted the seed. You've activated the pattern. You've entered the state. And if you persist in that state, gently, consistently, quietly, the world must conform. You do not need to ask, how long will it take? That question arises only when you doubt your inner identification. Instead, ask, have I accepted this as already true within me? And if the answer is no, you know where the work lies. Not in time, not in toil, but in assumption. Man has never created a single thing. Consciousness has created everything. You can wait a year in doubt and see nothing. Or you can shift in a moment and watch doors open that logic could never explain. So take your eyes off the clock. Detach from appearances. Sink deeply into the state of the wish fulfilled, the state where you no longer want because you are. Feel it real. Live from it. Rest in it. No more questions. No more watching the calendar. Because once you identify as the one who already has it, your outer world must catch up. And it often does so in ways far faster than time could have arranged. The world teaches effort. Push harder, do more, chase the goal until it collapses under your will. But spiritual law operates on a higher frequency, and at that level, the greatest power is not force but assumption. You do not make wealth happen. You become the version of yourself for whom wealth is already natural, normal, and done. This is the end state, the self-concept that matches your desire. To persist in the end state means to live inwardly as if the desire is already fulfilled, not just once during meditation, not just when conditions are favorable, but continuously, quietly, and faithfully, even when appearances say otherwise. You are not commanding the world through willpower. You are commanding it through identity. The shortcut to wealth, to love, to anything you desire is not outside you. It is found in this inner decision. I am already the one who has. This is not denial of current facts. It is loyalty to the truth you've chosen to accept. And once that truth becomes your dwelling place, your natural state, life reorganizes around it. Persistence is not struggle. It is quiet, unwavering inner agreement. You may not see the result immediately, but that does not mean it's not working. The seed must take root before it breaks through the soil. If you keep digging it up to check its progress, it cannot grow. Likewise, if you persistently check the bank account to confirm your assumption, you reveal that you have not fully occupied the end. The real test is whether you can rest in the feeling, even when there is no outer sign. Can you live in the knowing? Can you remain in the vibration of already done, even when your senses scream otherwise? This is the secret that separates manifestors from wanderers, the refusal to waver from the end state. Every day, return to it. Feel what it would feel like to have it. Speak, walk, and choose from that identity. Let your imagination saturate your being with the evidence of the unseen. Do it until it becomes automatic, natural, effortless. Oh, eventually your inner world will be so convinced, so stable that the outer must yield. It has no option. It must bend, because consciousness is the only cause. The shortcut is not in the striving, it's in the settling. Settling into the assumption that it is already yours, and refusing to leave that place no matter what shows up. When you dwell in the end state, life organizes the perfect bridge of events to carry you to the visible result. You don't need to know the how. You only need to persist in the feeling that it is already done. That's where miracles live. That's where wealth comes quickly, not as a surprise, but as a natural outcome of who you've decided to be. You are not creating wealth through effort. You are awakening the version of you where it already exists and staying there until the world agrees. So now you see, wealth is not something you earn through force or chase through fear. It is something you accept, assume, and align with. You are not required to strive or struggle, but to remember who you truly are, the one who commands reality through inner conviction. You are always broadcasting a signal, always projecting a state, always shaping your world through the quiet power of assumption. What you embody becomes your environment. What you persist in becomes your personal law. The outer world is not the source, it is the reflection. And when you dwell in the end, when you walk in the knowing that your desire is already fulfilled, then nothing can prevent its expression. Time is no longer your master. Delay is no longer your story. You have awakened to the truth that manifestation is instant in consciousness, and your only task is to remain faithful to that unseen inner reality until it solidifies in form. Wealth is not coming to find you someday in the future. It is already tracking you now because you are finally aligned. So rest in that knowing, act from that place, live from the version of you who already has. Let the world adjust, let the bridge form, and let wealth reveal itself without effort, delay, or doubt.